citizen, and I have a war with the terrorist group known as CPS. And I have been protesting every Friday at the Sacramento County Children's Receiving Home. And I never really paid attention to the statistics for how many children are being taken out of homeless shelters and encampments. What I recently started my focus on was how many CPS former foster youth 18 to 21 that is homeless in our streets right now, not getting the federal funding that was put aside for them. I've brought the issue to the mayor. I don't know how many of you have been watching the news and saw the child who died on the freeway. The news was out there, they covered it. I was the only one there Friday, me and a bunch of kids protesting. The news captured it. The next day, there was like 100 people doing a candlelit visual. The next day, I was back to protesting. No cameras, no people, no nothing. That following Friday, which was the 24th, this last Friday, I went to protest as usual. Not even an hour into my protesting, they shut down Watt and I-80 bridge.
I told you that there was a jumper.
See? Had someone drive by while I was protesting and was like, there's a jumper on the bridge. So I tell staff that's sitting there, like, hey, do you got staff on the bridge? You guys should have like 6-mile radius walkie-talkie. She's like, oh, we got a walkie-talkie. But I'm looking in confusion, like, well, why aren't y'all chirping to your people on the bridge? Why aren't y'all chirping to your people in here? And the whole time I was out there talking to 2 youth, it's all on my Facebook Live, Felicia Clark, and I'm talking to the 2 youth about not leaving the receiving home, about telling staff why they're leaving, because as you watch my video on Sunday, 2 days after the cameras were out there, a child walks out the receiving home. There's no staff, there's nobody following her. She's just going, and I tell her, like, where are you going? And I'm like, notice people, there's no staff, there's no security, because there's no cameras watching. And the girl says, I'm leaving, no one gives a shit about me. I said, hey, I'm a mom, I went through this, I got 3 of my kids back, I have a 16-year-old entrapped in the receiving home because she's there on her own. To the point we go to court on the 30th of this month because now the receiving home has to evict my child. So there's so many procedures that are flawed within this system that it's unreal. I read an article that said David Ballard, who's the owner of the property of the receiving home, got $700,000. Let's wrap our brains around this for a minute.
That's right.
$700,000 to make renovations to this property to ensure the safety of children who are alleged victims and snatched from abusive families, unwanted families, etc., etc. But when you have 2 children in less than 2 weeks flee into a freeway to kill themselves, you have to ask yourself, what kind of place is this? I've been to talk to the mayor. He didn't want to hear me. He said it's a county board of supervisors issue. I've been down there. They don't want to hear it. My daughter's a full quadriplegic from the neck down because of this receiving home. So now I do in-home support care, taking care of my daughter like she's an infant when she should be at the prime of her life, when I should be watching her run around in the streets and do what 18-year-olds do. I'm literally suctioning spit out of a trach from her throat. I'm changing her diapers. I'm adjusting her arms, moving her every 2 hours because a city felt like it was appropriate to take my children for giving soap and chili. So if they're going into homeless camps and they're taking kids because people are homeless, the system's not supposed to do that, because they say we can't take your kids from being homeless, but we can not give you your kid back if you don't have a safe place.
Right.
So if you went to a homeless person and kidnapped their kid and you're telling the homeless person you have to get a job, you have to do a parenting class. I worked full time. I put 5,000 miles on my Cadillac in a 3-month time frame. I snapped and told them if I wasn't the street hustler I was and didn't know how to make ends meet, I wouldn't be able to do this. What if I really did have a drug addiction? You want me to get on a bus, go across town, get to my family visit, get a job? I said, what about the people who don't have houses?
Right.
That's when I start thinking about my homeless community. And someone was saying like 60% is vets, 40% is foster youth. Like, come on, let's think about the numbers here.
That's right.
So I want to start reaching out with people and doing a real live head count. I want to know how many foster youth between 18 and 21 are homeless in this city.
That's right.
Because that's who should be at the receiving home, coming and going all hours of the night, doing whatever they want. It's the 18 to 21, but the 12 to 16 and 17 running the streets, dying.
You already know.
It's crazy. So
Thank you.
if you guys are curious about it, I'm out there every Friday between 4 p.m. and 7 p.m. and I'm not going to stop until reform has
That's what's
happened,
up.
until justice is
Whee!
Yeah.